You're listening to the Silver Stoner Show.
Transludes, it is I, your Uncle Herb, and we are here for another episode of the Silver Stoner. As always, let's go over the 5 tenets of being a Silver Stoner with the understanding that we are here to create a community of people who are both open to other people's ideas and thoughts and creative and use weed and other substances, which we occasionally talk about, and more as they become legal as the years go by, to expand your creativity and occasionally check out, because there is nothing wrong with an occasional checkout. Okay, let's get started. The 5 tenets, they're up on the screen. You know what they are. I'm not going to go through them one by one. I will simply highlight, let's see, which one shall I highlight today, Tech Master E?
Your fight is not mine.
Your fight is not, that's a good one, because, you know, that's what, tenet number 4 or 3?
Number 4.
Number 4. Okay, numero cuatro. You know, I actually wrote these, but, you know, obviously I borrowed them because there's nothing original under the sun. And these came from Lao Tzu, who was the founder of Taoism in the year 645 BC, but that's a side note. Your fight is not my fight. It comes down to this. You know, we live in a country, I am prefacing that I just got to say I don't give a fuck what your politics are, really. I'm not here to criticize. But, like, when is enough enough? When does going to fight other people's battles killed enough people that we've had enough? That's the thought. And on a smaller level, on a day-to-day level, you don't have to join into every, you know when people try to enroll you in their victimhood, for example, and they want to get you all involved in their fight, or they're getting divorced, and, you know, a stoner doesn't get involved. A stoner steps back and says, God bless you. Your fight is not my fight. There are many sides to every story. I am open to them all. I love you. You're my friend. But I am not going to go to battle for you or anybody else but myself. And if we all live by that, how much better would the world be? You know, just as an example, the Middle East wouldn't be on fire right now, but that's another story for another day, and not for the Silver Stoner, as we move on to the happy Silver Stoner news of the day, because, as you know, for the horrible stuff, you've got Fox News and MSNBC, depending on your political point of view, or CNN, whatever turns you on. I don't care. We're here for the good shit, and let's start with some good shit today. I always do, and the first thing, I was looking at the Wall Street Journal, which is not for financial news, but because they tend to be even-handed about what's going on in the world. And I saw this story about this guy who is on the European Golf Tour, who lost 477 tournaments in a row. You know, and he's 48 years old. How many? And by the way, he's recognized as one of the world's great golfers, but his head gets in the way, like it does for so many people. Like he's a great golfer, and he's been in a position to win many, many times, and he always fucks it up. And here he is at 48 years old. And those of you who have never played golf, it's a head game. I mean, there are plenty of guys on plenty of municipal golf courses in America who play as well as Tiger Woods or anybody else. The difference is, do you play that well when there's, 50 million people watching on TV? That's when you find out, that's why a little weed. Do they drug test professional golfers? Do you guys know? Do they drug test professional golfers? Like they do, so. Like horses and everything? I don't know.
Horses, but honestly, man, what defines a loss? Like, is a second place a loss?
Well, not when
or
you
are
make
you just the second best golfer in the world. That's champion status.
No, I'm with you. Except that when you're an elite athlete, second place is a loss. There's the win. Like when Simone Biles goes out and does the second place for her would be a loss, right? When she's the greatest of all time, that's really ridiculous. But I'm with you, man. But this guy.
Explain who we're talking to off camera.
Oh, we're talking to him. So my table today is covered with paraphernalia because I have with me experts on paraphernalia, Chris and Val, both of the Coughing Canary, the largest, as far as I know, the largest smoke shop in the Phoenix area. And we're talking major city here, guys. We got about 5-6 million people, and this is the place. It's in Scottsdale, by the way. When I say Phoenix area,
shop. I don't know if we're the biggest, but
I think you're the biggest. I've been in all the shops. I think you're the biggest.
Maybe biggest selection.
Biggest selection.
I would say that.
Yeah, not in square footage maybe, but in selection you guys are awesome. Okay. And they're in Old Town Scottsdale, which if you're ever in the Scottsdale area is like the original old Western. They kind of maintain the theme feeling of it. There's a couple of nice hotels down there and shit. And anyway, you need to check them out. We're going to come back to them, but they'll be, as always, my guests can chime in any old time because I'm a casual, relaxed stoner kind of guy. I don't care. All right. So, Anyway, good for him. The lesson there is never give up on a dream, right? I mean, like, and just this week, at the same week, Phil Mickelson, who was, won many tournaments, won the PGA at 50, the oldest guy to ever do it, which is pretty amazing. No other 50-year-old has ever won a major golf tournament before. Good for him. It makes me feel good, but at 64, I'm not playing in any fucking major golf. I play Frisbee golf, by the way, which is a better stoner game.
Man,
I used to play regular golf.
Club, man.
What's that?
I can't even swing a club.
You ever try Frisbee golf, though?
Oh, yeah, no, that's
Much better
fun.
game.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, you're always high. Although when I play golf, I play high because it keeps me from calling the game "fuck you" or "fuck me." Like hit the ball and "fuck me." But anyway, I digress. All right, moving right along. Some news you can use. Kiplinger, which is a really nice source of middle-class financial information, the kind for real people and not for the rich people. So, like if you read Wall Street Journal, you get rich people financial advice, which really isn't appropriate to most people out there. So, but none of us like paying taxes, but we sometimes confuse what taxes mean. We pay. I read a statistic: the average middle-class family, it takes till May of every year for you to pay all the taxes before you get to the part of your income that's actually income. When you figure out sales taxes, property taxes, vehicle fees, license fees, parking fees, tickets, all of it together. So, without looking, fellas, guess what's the lowest tax state for middle class? Not for rich people. For rich people, it's the zero tax states like Florida and But what do you think's the lowest tax state for middle class people, for normal people? Take a guess.
Man, I just smoke weed.
Yeah, I know.
It's not my fight, dog.
Okay, fuck that. How about you? Take a guess. I don't give a fuck.
Let's say Ohio.
Good guess. Wrong state. Wyoming, actually.
Okay.
Wyoming.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
The problem with Wyoming is it's colder than a witch's tit in Wyoming. Now, by the way, love Wyoming. Spent some time in Wyoming. I'm a fly fisherman too. I enjoy that. Wyoming's got world class, Yellowstone's in Wyoming. It's an awesome place. But if you really want to live in a place with low taxes where the weather doesn't suck, Florida or Arizona are my state and Florida. Overall, our state has an income tax, for example, but our other taxes aren't as high as other states. So move to the warm weather, Florida, Arizona. Anyway, moving on. Next story. What a great time to get cancer. Do you love that for a headline? It is actually a great time to get cancer because for the first time in human history, you have a better than 50-50 chance of surviving it, of all the cancers across the board because of the march of technology. And I just brought this up because in the war against cancer, science is winning. And it's nice when people actually benefit from science and it's not like bandied about as some fucking play word by politicians. In real life, science is curing cancer at last. Thank
Good to hear, man.
You know what's behind it? I mean, this is really in the weed shit, but there's this technology called CRISPR, which is CRISPR. You seen this?
Yeah.
This is
the
revolutionary.
gene splicing stuff.
Revolutionary. It's revolutionary, Tech Master E. Bless you.
Bless you.
It's revolutionizing. I know how to speak English. I actually, studied English, but anyway. Anyway, if you get, God forbid, you get cancer, there's a very good chance. And with every passing day, literally, it's more and more likely that you're going to survive, which is, it's just good news. Okay, this is a great story I ran across. Get this. 50 years ago, this orphan girl who would have been adopted by another family was watching a television show and enjoying it. 50 years later, it turns out the star of the show is her mother. They were reunited, but the best part of the story is this is 50 years later. She watched her 50 years ago in the 1970s, if you're wondering what the time frame is. Without looking, guess the name of the show her mother was on. And I actually remember the show.
In the 70s?
Yeah. That's My Mama was the name of the show. Back in the 70s.
That's ridiculous.
I swear to God, it's true. She watched her mother on That's My Mama in 1972. This is a true story. Most of you guys aren't old enough to remember this, but before the 1970s, black people were only depicted on TV as pimps and drug pushers. But then in the 1970s, it was just Jim Crow only ended in the 1960s. I mean, it was a different time.
It took a left.
But then came All in the Family, which then spun off The Jeffersons, which was earth-shaking. And then there was a whole bunch of shows, including The Cosby Show. I know he's in prison, but but all those shows came as a result of finally realizing that black people are mostly not pimps and drug pushers. Not that we didn't already know that, but finally entertainment recognized it. And one of those shows was That's My Mama. And 50 years later, the woman's name, by the way, was Lisa Wright, was the young woman. And now she's not a young woman, but she met her mother from the show. Happy news. I'm just telling you. I don't know if they're stoners, but good. They need to, celebrate anyway. Remember, girls, you don't get a hangover from weed. Just throwing it out there. Okay. Now, next, I have another great story today. Get that. And I'm just going to read this. And guys, as I've told you, I don't use a teleprompter because I suck at it. President Obama was the best teleprompter reader I ever saw, but I couldn't hold his papers, let alone do it as well as he did it. So fuck it. I'm just going to read it from the paper like an old man because that's who I am. All right. So get this. On May 2nd, so this just happened, this guy, his name was Bauer, and his teenage daughter Ava were running errands when they got caught in a serious 5-car pileup on the Route 90 bridge in Maryland's Assawoman Bay. I probably said that wrong. It literally is Assawoman, A-S-S-A woman. I swear to God. If I'm making that up, God strike me dead. I probably said it's probably Assawoman or something to make it sound better, but anyway. Reminds you of that Seinfeld episode, Ass Man. Did you ever see that one? That's another story. Okay. The accident sent 8 people to the hospital and left a pickup truck dangling precariously over the guardrail. After making sure his daughter Ava was okay, Bauer got out of his car to see if anyone needed help. As he headed toward the teetering truck, its passengers alerted him to a heart-wrenching sight. A toddler, ejected from the passenger side, was floating in the bay, her pink dress billowing in the waves. Quote, I looked over and I saw the car seat, some other items, and then about 6 feet away from the car seat, I saw the little girl, and she was on her back floating perfectly, arms moving, legs kicking, Bauer said. Scanning the water for nearby boats that might be able to help, he didn't see any, so what did he do? And by this point, she had flipped over on her stomach and was drowning. Kicked off his shoes, jumped off the bridge feet first, landed in the water, survived the jump, saved the little girl, and then a boater had finally arrived on the scene and pulled them to safety on the 66th Street ramp, where they were met by waiting paramedics. Now, here comes the part that blows me away. He left. They had to go find him. He didn't want to be a show-off. He didn't want a medal. He didn't want an award. He didn't want to be recognized. The only reason we know this man's name is they tracked him down. He left the scene, okay?
But the girl survived.
Oh, the girl went to Johns Hopkins Medical Center, and she's absolutely fine.
Excellent.
And, but they finally found him, and they gave him an award. But the guy, true charity is done anonymously, guys. When they put their names all over, you go up to these buildings and you see like the Bill Gates. He just likes seeing I don't know Bill Gates. He might be the nicest guy in the world for all I know. But putting your name all over shit is not real charity. That's egomania, and to some extent. Real charity is when you do something nice for somebody and you just walk away. And this guy deserves the Medal of Honor, and he's not going to get it. But speaking of people who put their names on things, but he didn't, Rob Gronkowski, in a happy news, just to go from the sublime to the ridiculous, donated $1.2 million to renovate a Boston playground, which I think is great. Good for you, Rob Gronkowski. And he didn't put his name on it. So double good for him. And his youth foundation is going to run programs at it, so triple good for him. So, by the way, Rob Gronkowski is from University of Arizona in Tucson, Arizona, where he played his undergraduate. I had a chance to meet him, and he is a crazy motherfucker. But greatest tight end to ever play football, currently playing for I don't know if he's going to play for Tampa Bay again. Maybe, but he's won the Super Bowl again. I don't know if he's coming back or not. Probably. Yeah, but anyway, I'm not a big football fan, but good for you, Rob Gronkowski. Okay, talking about barrier breaking, it really wasn't, but I'm just changing the subject. Get this. A young woman with Down syndrome has become the first Down syndrome person to compete at the National College Championship. Amy Bockerstedt has been first before. In 2016, she became the first golfer with Down syndrome to qualify for the Arizona State High School Tournament. She lives right here in Scottsdale, Arizona, this young woman. She, by the way, if those of you watch the Waste Management Open, the Phoenix Open, they actually had her come out to a hole and hit a shot out of the sand. And she actually parred a par 3 hole. She hit her first shot in the sand, wedged out, sunk the putt. Those of you who play golf will understand what that means. Those of you who don't, who gives a shit, really, let me just say, remarkable. And for those, every now and then you read about some wacko who, I saw it just the other day, some guy was advocating abortion of Downs. Who was it? It was
Jesus.
You know who it was? It was Richard Dawkins, that atheist guy who's always talking about that. And he was talking about women who have Down syndrome babies should abort them before they're born. Yeah, okay. I respectfully disagree. A person with Down syndrome can have a full and joyous life. So smoke some weed, relax, stop living everybody else's.
Woman there, you can live a happy life. that
Goddamn
way.
right. If
Hell
I
yeah.
had a Down syndrome child or grandchild, I would love them exactly the same as every other. And if you're a stoner, that's how you feel. And anyway, good for Amy Baccaret. Good. Yeah, you like great. I just love passing on good news. Okay, have I left out any other news yet? No, I don't. I think we're ready to go for the real fun here. Okay. I told you guys already, our guests are from the Coughing Canary. The Coughing Canary is, if not the largest, certainly the most selection-rich smoke shop, in my humble opinion, in the greater Phoenix area, as I said earlier, and I'll repeat to you now. It's located in Old Town Scottsdale. So if you're ever through Phoenix and you came into town and you don't want to smoke your weed in an apple because you forgot your pipe or your bong and you cruise through town, or you live in Phoenix, in our great state, or you live in another town like Tucson, you're visiting town, do yourself a favor, head down. And by the way, this is not embedded advertising. I am not being paid. We are doing this because these guys are great. We're going to shoot the shit. We're going to have some fun. And when we're done, by the way, those of you who go to our Patreon and join for $4.20 a month, we're going to have a lot of fun using this paraphernalia for Too High for YouTube, which we will not do, so we do not demonetize our broadcast. But anyway, there we go. So, Chris, I'm using the point out. Chris, Val. By the way, I didn't even ask your last names. Chris what?
I'm Chris Mardari, Coughing Canary Smoke Shop, man.
Chris Mardari. And Val
Monte Arbo.
Monte Arbo?
Yes, indeed.
Is that Spanish or Portuguese?
No, it's a little Scottish and a little Italian.
Oh, Monte Arbo. Like two words, but did they make it into one? Or-
Yeah, it's a hyphenated one. So we got the moms and got the dads there.
Oh, you're doing like the Latino mom's maiden name at the end kind of thing, like they do, like Garcia de Color or something.
Exactly.
I dig it. All right, far out. So, how long have you guys been at Coughing Canary Smoke Shop?
A few years.
Yeah, I was about to say I've been there about 3-4 years now.
Now, general manager,
Yes, sir.
manager.
This is
Is it the greatest job ever known to mankind? I'm just curious.
Oh man, working at a smoke shop is awesome, dude. We just love hooking people up with something that we know is going to brighten their day up and just kind of make their life a little easier. It's more than just, something to smoke out of. It's probably going to be the first thing you're going to see after a long day of work. So it should mean something.
Let me ask you a question. Are you guys, now that legalization's in and now we have recreational, are you finding a lot of new stoners coming in, people that have never tried it before?
Oh,
Definitely, man. Absolutely. You want to
Yeah.
speak on that?
I was about to say, I can't tell you how many people within the last couple months that we've taught how to use a dab rig properly. Just new people coming on in, like, hey, now that we're allowed to, let's give it a whirl and everything. People are finally starting to get more interested in it. I think a little bit more receptive to like some of the benefits and everything you can get from it as well.
Are you seeing a lot of older people? I'm just curious. You seeing a lot of people my age? You seeing boomers?
Actually, we are seeing a lot more influx of some older people, man. We've been selling a lot of vapes to you guys. A lot of people like to be able to smoke as much as they want and not have it tear their throats up. So we've been selling a lot of vaporizers. So,
Now, well, are we talking like volcano vapes or are we talking like pen vapes?
well, honestly, dude, we sell the the little disposable vapes like crazy. Those things are ridiculous. But volcano vaporizers, man, like dry herb vaporizers, it's the way to go. You can really get a lot out of them and not have to cough up a lung from a bong.
It's my favorite way of smoking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but it's been around for a long, long time. But it's really funny. This volcano, aside from being digital, volcano's been around since It's interesting. They were selling volcano vapes before pot was legal. I wonder how they.
Well, they were selling them as herbal vaporizers.
I think that's what I bought. I think I bought it as an herbal vaporizer.
That's right. It's an herbal vaporizer.
I think I completely ignored that when I bought the first one. But there,
I know exactly what I could use this for.
I love it. When you smoke your herb or you put your tobacco, I like, when you see ads for like pipes before it was legal, they would make it sound like this was for tobacco.
Oh yeah.
Which
exactly.
No, that there is a legal smoking herb pipe, my
Exactly.
friend.
A multi-use tool.
But the
Yes,
question would be, what are
exactly.
you smoking besides weed?
Tobacco,
all
CBD.
kinds of stuff. You could smoke your tobaccos. We've got CBD flower nowadays. That's technically not exactly.
Let me ask you about CBD. Let me ask you guys about CBD. Well, and I want to talk to you about this Delta 8 shit, okay? Because I haven't tried it. Have you guys tried the Delta 8 or whatever it's called?
I have. I've tried some of that stuff.
Yeah.
How does it work? What is it? What's happening with that shit? I haven't tried it. I'm just asking.
It's very similar to. It's honestly vaguely similar to Delta 9. It's not quite as intense. From what I've noticed, a lot of people who have quit smoking through the years because it gives them anxiety or paranoia, and they just have panic attacks and everything due to it. When they try out the Delta 8, it seems to be less of a heady neural sort of effect from it, so they don't get quite as like that hypertension and that, again, overall anxiety from like the real psychoactive effect.
I don't think that comes from, just between you and me, I've known lots of people that get anxious on weed over the years. They were anxious anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that's true,
but
but certain strains can definitely amplify it,
Exactly.
and Delta 8 definitely can help actually kick it back. It's been known to help anxiety, man. They do a lot of studies on it.
so are you distributing Delta 8 in the store? Because it's legal.
I
I don't give a shit if you are or you
still
aren't.
kind
Believe
of
me,
a
I'm not trying to
gray
play
area,
gotcha.
man.
So is it legal for you guys to sell Delta 8 in the store?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Just got a couple different products and such like that. More so just started with the gummies and such, but yeah.
Did the Delta 8 gummies do anything?
They tend to work pretty well on people that don't smoke on a regular basis, kind of like low-dose gummies.
So let me ask you a question. So I'm a guy that's been smoking since I was 14 years old. So that would be 50 years this year. Okay.
Okey-dokey.
Am I going to feel anything if I smoke Delta 8? Is anything going to happen for me?
It's a different receptor. It's
Exactly.
a different cannabinoid receptor. So it will have different effects, but you probably won't notice it quite as much as a more inexperienced smoker.
Well, can I smoke it in the same paraphernalia that I smoke everything else? Does it smoke just as well out of a volcano? Does it smoke just as well out of a bong?
The only real difference with it hasn't been like treated chemically or anything. It's just how they grow it.
Yeah.
It's good genetics and proper growing techniques that get you, the low THC, high CBD, high CBG, and all these other cannabinoids like Delta 8.
What are you seeing with the CBD crowd? I mean, you guys are seeing. I talk to people in dispensaries. Obviously, they're trying to sell weed. They're trying to sell CBD products, this and that and the other thing. And I don't blame. I mean, God bless them. But you guys are really providing the tools, so you're probably seeing a more honest.
We definitely see a lot of people for the CBD, and honestly, we get a lot of people that have different medical conditions that come in for it. We get a lot of elderly people that come in that need it, and it sells really well for us, and it definitely has an effect. I personally use it myself. I was hit by a car recently, and I take it every morning to kind of help with a lot of the tightness I get in my neck and stuff, just to keep myself working at work.
Now, when you say you take it, are you taking it? Are you smoking it, or are you smoking hemp,
drops.
or what are you doing?
Yeah, I was about to say, I prefer tinctures, honestly, when it comes to CBD. It has a faster onset, and it has the same effectiveness as edibles. Whenever you smoke it, you only get about, realistically, like 30 minutes to about 2 hours of true effectiveness from your cannabinoids, as opposed to ingesting it, having it absorb into your system a little bit more, or metabolizing it. You get at least about 3 to 6 hours of effectiveness, like properly from it.
Yeah,
So do you actually feel the effect of the CBD? Like, for example, I just had my shoulder, I won't show you the scar, but I just had my shoulder replaced. Okay, and obviously I've got tightness, I'm in physical therapy and so on and so forth. Would that help me?
It would definitely help. I wouldn't say that you'd feel the effect is not really the right way to put it. What I like to tell people, if you don't feel anything, that means it's working. If you don't feel that pain in your shoulder that you woke up with, if you don't feel that numbness that you've been dealing with, if you're able to continue through your day, that means it's working.
So so you're dealing with CBD, you're dealing with Delta 8, you're dealing with a wide variety of paraphernalia.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, let me just ask straight out, what in volume, what's your number one selling, what's the word I'm looking for, paraphernalia? And like, when people come in, well, hey, let me break it down, because that's an unfair question. Newbies come in, okay?
All right.
Let's pretend I walk in, I'm a boomer, I've never smoked weed before. I walk up to the counter, I say to you, fellas, I don't want to break the bank, but, I'm living on whatever, doesn't matter. I want to get outfitted right, but like, what do you recommend?
Honestly, a bong.
Agreed. Just a standard beaker. Nice, easy to start with, easy to maintain, easy to keep clean, and it's a good way to kind of learn your airflow and everything before going into anything too fancy. And if you're looking for something just real quick and easy, a lot of people do still tend to go for like our spoon pipes and such like that too.
I carry those when I travel.
Yeah.
Not that I would ever transport grass between state lines, but there are enough other states where I can always buy some weed legally that, but when I travel, I'm a pipe guy, but that's the only time I use them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for that, home setups and everything like that, some people just don't want like anything big because they're still a little like, I don't know. It seems like they're still trying to hide it a little bit because some people like, interpersonal relationships might make that a little tense there.
Do you think there's really a stigma around it still?
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Some households definitely still have a very strong stigma around it. It's disappointing, but it's still there. People grew up with this mentality, and I'm glad to say that a lot of that is going away now that, recreation is passed. But
I always wonder how many of these
there.
people that knock weed are going home and knocking back 3 scotches after they knock the weed. I mean, what a fucking hypocritical thing.
I can't say that even about everyone, man. We definitely get some people that are just laser straight that
Do they come into? But why would they come into your store?
We sell nicotine products.
We sell nicotine, honestly.
And
That's
they take the time to give you shit over weed?
It's happened in the past. It doesn't happen nowadays too much. People are starting to chill out a little bit, but definitely, man.
They need to remember the fourth tenet. Your fight is not my fight. Why do people feel like they have to share their fucking opinions with everybody? You ever walk into a grocery store and you're standing there and people start sharing their opinions with you? Like I love you, man, but I didn't ask.
Who are you?
Right.
And they walk into your place of business where you're doing business with stoners and they're criticizing weed? I mean, that's a little rude.
Yeah. It doesn't happen every day, but yeah, it's not our favorite thing, man.
What's your favorite thing?
My favorite thing is when somebody comes in and they're like, look, I know nothing. I really just need to sit down and have you guys explain how to use a pipe, what I'm doing, what do I need. The newbie that's willing to sit down and listen. That's honestly my favorite thing. So we can walk somebody through the entire process and really get them out the door knowing confidently.
What's the newbie need to invest? I mean, for example, I read the other day that the average trip to a dispensary now nationally is about $120. The average person when they walk into it, because they don't go every day. When they walk in, I mean, I do. I can tell you that's absolutely true for me.
Oh yeah.
And I'm getting the 20% veterans discount, and I'm medical, and I still spend $120 because I'm such a fucking stoner. But and I like a little, sometimes I like a little body high, sometimes I like a little head high, sometimes I like a little. But what were you talking about? I fucking lost my train of thought.
Oh, you're all good, man.
I'm high, by the way.
That to you, by the way.
Occupational hazard.
We were talking about what you're going to need to get
how
started.
much money are we going to talk? How much money are we talking about?
Dude,
I mean, I realize this is a lot more than $120, but I mean, just to get into the sport.
Mm-hmm.
To get into the sport, man, dude, if you've got $5 or $5,000, we've got a pipe for you. You could get a simple hand pipe like this, starting as low as $5 all day long.
Now, a simple pipe like this, this is a simple, elegant. I kind of like this pipe because and am I allowed to say the retail price in this pipe?
Sure, why not?
Because it's right on the bottom. It's $15. Okay. And is this hand blown? This is a beautiful piece of work, actually. I like simple.
Every single piece of glass you've ever seen is hand blown. There's no machine that makes glass pipes like that. That's not a thing.
So, do you have a lot of artists around the Phoenix area that provide you, or are you buying this from wholesale outlets?
We do get a lot of stuff from wholesale outlets, but we do actually try to support as many local artists as we can. So we have lots of artists come in and present their wares, and we like to buy a lot of stuff from different locals.
It's nice what I think about the paraphernalia businesses, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree, but in a year or two, they're going to legalize pot nationally. I mean, it's 70% of the people want it. It's just
it's on the way.
Right, whether it's today or next month or next year, but soon. It's coming. It's passed the House, it's close in the Senate. The president's kind of wishy-washy, but eventually it'll get through one way, because if the people want it, in the end the politicians are going to do what the people want. Finally, at the end. When that happens, it's going to wipe out a lot of the local, believe me, this is what happens in nascent industries. The big boys are going to come in. It's going to be Philip Morris and RJR and all, they're going to come in and the dispensaries will always be around, I think, just like there are always going to be wine shops for people who will spend more money on a bottle of wine than if they went down to Trader Joe's and got $2 Chuck, which is now $3 Chuck, which by the way tastes to me, I don't have a refined palate. To me, $3 Chuck tastes as good as anything. Okay, but there are those people who would rather go to the wine store at 32nd Street and Camelback, I forget, Tarbell's or whatever, and go in there and spend $200 on a bottle of wine. And that's what but most of them are going to get wiped out. But you guys won't. because I don't think the big guys really are going to go into the paraphernalia business. I think they're just going to wipe out the. You're going to be buying your weed in Circle K. Mark my words.
Honestly, the quote unquote big guys have been here for a while. You know, like we've got big glass companies that make high volume, cheap pipes that kind of do hurt a lot of the locals. But honestly, man, it's all comes down to build quality. When you get one of those versus you get a local pipe, there's always more consideration in how it's made, the color palettes and everything. They're thicker. They're just overall nicer.
So this big heavy block of glass I have in my hand, is this local or is this?
That one is actually not. The local piece here is going to be that big boy to your right.
This baby?
Yes.
No. This?
Yes.
Okay, check this out. You guys see this? All right. Here's my first question, and I've always wondered, and I too collect bongs, just works of art. So to me, this is a beautiful work of art, and this is the kind of thing.
Completely agree.
This is the kind of thing, by the way, that when my kids say, "What do you want for Christmas?" This is the kind of stuff I usually say.
You listening, kids?
Well, no, they already know this. I mean, what do you get a guy that has? I mean, I have everything I really want, so it really comes down to, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, you know, I got a roof over my head. I've got food in my stomach. I drive a nice car. I mean, it's enough, right? So, like, I love this, but do these things really do anything, or is this just a work of art?
Oh, no,
is what I'm really asking.
absolutely is 100% functional. In a piece like that,
Yeah.
you've got those zigzags in there that add extra length to your bong. That bong is just about as long as a single person could comfortably hit by themselves. But having those extra zigzags in there makes it way longer. That's like a 6-foot bong when you stretch it out.
I can see where it would be.
It adds a lot more surface area, cools down the smoke a little bit more, and it does kind of double as a splash guard there as well, so you can kind of control your airflow a little more too.
Does it make cleaning a challenge? Like
The only thing that makes cleaning a challenge on a piece like that is its overall size.
Yeah.
It's just huge. Shaking it around is kind of a challenge.
So I'm not thinking that you're buying bottles of 420 for this. What are you doing, like Epsom salts and then rubbing alcohol because it's so huge? And
Honestly, you could totally get that whole piece clean with half a bottle of 420, no problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I've experimented with all kinds of shit. 420 works great, but nothing else does. I mean, I
Tried
tried.
the grunge off?
Well, no, I tried this over-the-counter shit like out of the grocery store. Like, you know how they use Dawn Ultra to clean seabirds that have been in oil spills? That works great, but it doesn't work for shit on marijuana residue, I can tell you.
You can shake that till you're blue in the face.
You can leave it soak.
Bubbles.
You can soak that motherfucker for a week, and it doesn't make any goddamn
Oh
difference.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But now, you can short circuit it with Epsom salts and rubbing alcohol. That's really all 420 is. I mean, you could go down to Walgreens with blue food coloring to make it look like something. I mean, no
some
offense.
other stuff in there, but
By the way, I'm not. I buy 420 because I really don't want to fuck around trying to figure out the mixture. But for those of you who are like on a budget, that's all it is. It's Epsom salts and rubbing alcohol.
one thing about 420 and a lot of these other cleaners, especially like grunge off and stuff, the abrasive that's in 420 is a little less harsh than like salt, so it'll keep your pieces shiny for a little longer.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Do you ever use brushes on your pieces? Like, do you ever?
Not with any of my pieces.
Because it'll scratch them.
I don't know. I've just never needed the use for it. If you like, with proper maintenance and everything like that, along with your piece, especially if it's like consistent, like using those like alcohol and Epsom salts or whatever cleaner that you want to use, like most of the time you're able to soak most of it off. Like I've had like a couple calcium stains on some pieces, but I've never had a point where I've had to like go in with a brush to get a decent bit of resin in there too.
Oh, that's good. All right.
No, you just got to stay on top of cleaning your bong,
exactly.
man.
Well, I'm
Get a lung infection.
I'm anal retentive about it, but that's me. Now, do people invest in these heavy duty propane/butane lighters, or, in your opinion, because there are guys that like a lot of times I smoke with rope, but I think it's more ritual. I don't really notice a lot of taste difference, but I always enjoyed fucking with it. I don't know.
For sure.
And feel free to disagree with me.
Honestly, I like the hemp wick. The hemp wick's nice. It definitely gives a little bit smoother of a hit sometimes, especially if you're dealing with.
I like it better on a
gassy
bong because it's a
big
little more
flame.
gentle.
Yeah,
But
I like that you can aim it. That's what my big thing is about it. I can.
the
Get
problem
a
with
nice
the
small flame and put it right where
flamethrower
I
like
want
this
it.
is you can burn up a lot of weed.
Well, these are for dabs.
Okay, that's only for dabbing.
When people use torches for bowls and such like that,
They're wasting a lot of weed.
I feel like that's just a fully going hard moment. Just like all right, we're gonna
I'm
smoke
gonna
as much
smoke
as
this
possible
whole bowl
right, this second.
now.
Yeah, but you're just posing because you're destroying half the bowl with the goddamn flame.
True.
You still get a decent
But,
bit.
I'm not saying you don't get high,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but you're really burning that weed fast.
Yeah, Yeah, if you pack a big enough bowl, it'll work.
So let me ask you, are you one of those stoners that can smoke any amount of weed and you're always functional, or are you a stoner that can wipe out?
Probably the first one for the most part, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to edibles, it's like those are just pastries. Like
Exactly.
How many milligrams of an edible does it take for you to be put down?
to put down.
To really like, I'm on the couch and I'm done.
Ooh.
I'm fucking done.
It'd have to be at least 1,500
at a time. Once,
yes, sir. Yeah, no, absolutely.
You would eat 1,500.
A full Corova Black Bar and then snacking on some other ones throughout the day. Yeah, that's what it would take.
You need 1,000 milligram bar in one sitting.
I'd have several times over.
You are my hero.
Aw.
You are my god. I can't do it, and I've been doing this shit for 50 years.
It's
1,000
all
milligrams.
practice. I promise you. Dabs are the way.
You know how to get to Carnegie Hall, right?
Practice. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Okay, we got to. We're. By the way, guys, we're gonna do. I can't wait for the too high for YouTube. We're gonna cut to that pretty quick. I don't know. I mean, you'd think I'd have the resistance, but at about 300 to 500 milligrams, I start to look at that couch pretty happy.
Yeah.
Oh no!
And then what happens?
We'll
That's
leave
still
you in the
pretty
corner
impressive.
before we leave.
Yeah.
Let me put it to you this way: I get the giggles. You're going to find that out. Okay, weed for me. Tell me if you agree with this. It like brings out your inner self to a large extent. For me, it does. You know how when people get drunk, you find out who they really are.
Yeah.
Like you ever meet a mean motherfucker drunk who is always nice I had this roommate in the military. I'm a Navy veteran. Okay. And years and years and years, and I was a Russian linguist. Okay, so I went to Russian school in Monterey. I had the best job in the fucking Navy. Right. I went for a year of Russian school to the Presidio of Monterey in Monterey, California. Ooh. For a full year where I just basically studied Russian and fucked around. Okay, it was absolutely great. And Monterey is like my favorite place in the entire country. If I had to pick, if I could move today to one place and taxes didn't matter, it would be Monterey Carmel. I just love that. I just love that area in Northern California. Well, central area. Northern. Yeah, it's really nice. Why was I telling you this story? Why was I telling this fucking story?
Something about the Navy.
Oh. So my roommate, I was talking about drinking. Okay. So I had this roommate. His name was Jim Nelson, who, by the way, Jim is not... Jim Jones. No, that's the name of the guy that killed everybody with Kool-Aid. Anyway, his name was really Jim Nelson. Yeah, guy. I went right to the Kool-Aid. No. So Jimmy won't get mad at me for this. So Jimmy was this little skinny guy from Iowa. He was from Davenport, Iowa, and he was the quietest. He was a great roommate. He was clean and quiet and calm, except when he got drunk, and then he turned into a belligerent Marine fighter. And you had to get the fuck because you had to have his back, and you don't want to be. Sailors lose to Marines. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't want to fight a Marine. Marines win. If you're a Marine, you know what I'm talking about. Thank God they're on our side. Is all I have to say. But we would like go to a bar, and Jimmy would start getting drunk, and then he'd start with the fuck you and pushing guys, and and you got it. So I stopped going out with him, right? But weed doesn't. You ever met a mean stoner? Have you met a mean stoner that's really stoned?
Unless they were already in a really bad mood prior, no.
I don't think you could
actually,
be.
you know what?
And even still, it's.
Have you ever I'm talking about a genuine prick stoner. Yeah.
This one time I was hanging out with the guy, and he got real aggressive and real mean because we ran out of weed.
It's like you telling me I'm going to steal Chris's joke here, but we're talking about, does anyone ever overdosed on weed? He says, yeah, it takes about 250 pounds. You wrap it up in a bag and you beat them over the head with it. It's the only way you're going to die from fucking weed, right? Yeah. I mean, it's when I get really, and you'll see this, I just turn into Joe Goofy and everything becomes funny. And if I get too stoned, I can't stop. I can't stop laughing. Everything becomes, you could say to me, nice day. And somehow that would be funny to me stoned. It's just, I mean, I'm high right now, but I'm like, I took a couple hits.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, I miss those days.
Yeah. What? The Goofy?
The Goofy.
Yeah.
No, definitely. We've all experienced that.
I've been laughing so hard at times that my kids almost called the ambulance because they thought I was going to laugh myself to death.
I was going to laugh himself to. Oh, that.
once they bought me I won't go through the whole story, but they bought me an edible, and I didn't think it was working, so I ended up eating more of it than I should have.
Oh, no.
I'd cut it up, and then the first little piece didn't work, and the second little piece, and I waited an hour, and nothing was happening. So finally I said, "Oh, fuck it." It was my birthday, and so I ate the whole fucking thing. Oh, yeah. And it turned out it was way over the top, and I was laying on the couch just giggling and nothing. I couldn't stop. I was tears were running down, and they were going to call the ambulance until finally I started to come down the other side, and it was fine. But it was lovely.
That's awesome.
I think we've got to do the too high stuff. You know, I don't know that you can appreciate this paraphernalia without using it. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to wrap up this broadcast now. And then if you haven't joined the Patreon, join the Patreon. $4.20 gets you into the level. That's all you need is the first level to just watch the too high for YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Of course it's 420.
Well, fuck. What else is it going to be?
Yeah.
Am I going to make it 450? I mean, what I wanted to do was have an amount small enough that every single stoner could participate. Oh, yeah. Right? Like, who's going to miss $4.20, right? Yeah, I don't want to, look, do I want to make money doing this? Yeah, I do. But there's an old saying in business that says, feed the poor, live with the rich, feed the rich, live with the poor. Did you ever hear that saying? It's like a restaurant saying, but it really true in all business. Who do you think's richer? The guy that owns the McDonald's or the guy that owns the fanciest restaurant in town? Who do you think's the richer restaurateur? The McDonald's
probably
guy.
The McDonald's guy, because he probably owns 7 of them.
So get this. So in our state of Arizona, as far as I know, still, the McDonald's franchisee has a master franchise for the state is the Controlla family out of Nogales. And believe it or not, the McDonald's in Nogales, Arizona, last I knew, I could be wrong now, but for years, for decades, it's been the #1 grossing McDonald's in the world.
That's crazy. Dang.
Because the Mexicans love McDonald's. And they cross over. It's right by the border. If you ever go down to Nogales, Arizona, it's right on the other side of the border by a bank. It's a short walk, right? So it's not even that. It's barely a walk. And they just do it. And they have like a modified menu full of spicy shit to go with them. Anyway, but the Controlla family is worth God knows how much. And they're richer than all. The point of the matter is there's a lot more poor people than rich people. And you can make a lot more money not grinding your axe on them than going. The rich people are pains in the asses. I mean, sometimes.
No comment.
No comment. Okay. That means he agrees with me, but he's not going to say it. All right. Let's wrap up the show. What was I going to do to wrap up the show? Oh, we're going to do the Daily Dow and move out. Ready? Got to find my script. Here we go. And then we're going to Too High for YouTube. Today's Daily Dow. Men were born soft and supple. Dead, they are stiff and hard. Plants are born tender and pliant. Dead, they are brittle and dry. Thus, whoever is stiff and inflexible is a disciple of death. Whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life. And I don't think I need to explain that. Okay, just chill out. Your fight's not my fight. Meanwhile, have a lovely and wonderful day. Those of you who are members of Patreon, stick around and go to Too High for YouTube. And until next time, this is Uncle Herb. Uncle Herb. I fucked up my own name. That is really my real name. But I always call myself Uncle Herb because, what the fuck? Peace out.
You're listening to The Silver Stoner Show.